Very good morning, dear children. Children, we are on chapter number 6 of the old books, and in new books, it's chapter number 5, Kingdoms, Kings, and Early Republics. So, we are going to talk about this. Now, children, how some men became rulers. Now, if you talk about the present situation in present times, how we elect our rulers? We elect our rulers by the election procedure, fine, by voting. So by voting we are electing our representatives. But what if we talk about past? So in the previous chapter we have discussed that it was the jan, means the people who are uh, choosing their raja. But children, around 3000 years ago, fine, what happened? Now in order to become a raja, now they have to perform a very big sacrifices. So one such sacrifice was Ashwamedh Yagya. Fine. So it was a horse sacrifice, and it's a sort of ritual at that time. Now a horse was let free. Fine, the horse was let free. The horse used to wander in different kingdoms. So from the kingdom from where the horse is allowed to pass, it was said that Raja from whose kingdom the horse has passed, that Raja is not at all stronger. The Raja whose horse has passed from there, that Raja is more stronger. If the horse was stopped by the Raja from whose kingdom the horse was passing, if the horse was stopped, then they had to fight a battle. They used to have a war between them. Now, the Raja who allowed the horse to pass was also invited in the sacrifice, which was performed. Now, whosoever was coming in this sacrifice, they used to bring gifts. Fine. Now, who were invited in the sacrifice? Now, first of all, I told you the person, the Raja who's letting the horse move in their territory, that Raja will come. Then trained priests will come. Fine. And they used to get gifts. The priest used to get gifts. The Raja who organized the sacrifice was also recognized as being powerful, and all those who used to come, they used to bring gifts for the Raja. Fine. Now the Raja was a central figure in this ritual. Obviously, Raja is performing the sacrifice, so he will be the central figure, and he used to have a special seat or a throne. Mostly, it was a tiger skin on which the Raja used to sit. Now his charioteer, his charioteer, he used to, you know, uh, chant the tales of glory of the Raja. The Raja did this in this war, in this battle. So he used to chant the tales of glory of the Raja. Now the relatives, now especially the wife and sons of Raja, they used to perform a variety of minor rituals. Fine. Now other Rajas, they were just the spectators. They were just coming to attend it. Fine. They are not going to do any performance in that. Fine. Now priests, what do the priests do? The priests used to sprinkle sacred water. Fine. And the ordinary people, the wish or the vaishyas, they also used to bring the gifts. Whereas children, the shudras, the lower caste people, they were, and the women, they were not allowed to come and sit in the yagya. Now we will talk about the varnas. Varn. Fine. Now we have many books that were composed in North India, the area which was drained by Ganga and Yamuna. Now, during this period, children, there were books. The books were known as the later Vedic books, because the Rig Veda is the oldest one. So, whatever book was written after Rig Veda, that will be known as the later Vedic. Even the Samved, Yajurved, Atharvaved, they were all be called as later Vedic books. Fine. Now they were composed by the priests, obviously you know it. Now they also contained certain rules about the society. So the society children was divided into different groups. So there were priests also, there were warriors also, farmers, herders, traders, craft person, laborers, shipping folk, forest people. Now priests and warriors were rich, whereas farmers and traders, they were also fine, they were mediocre. Fine. The others like herders and craft persons, laborers, hunter gatherers, they were poor people. So these priest children, they divided the society into different groups or the varnas. Sorry. So what all were these varnas? The first varna was the Brahmins. They were on the top. They used to study. They can study and teach the Vedas. They can perform sacrifices, and they will receive gifts also. Fine. After that comes the Kshatriyas. Sorry. Kshatriyas were the rulers' children. Fine. They used to fight battles and they used to protect people. Now at the third were the Vish or Vaishyas. They were the farmers, herders or the traders. And both Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, they can perform sacrifices. But the last group, that was the Shudras, they had to serve the above three groups. Fine. They were at the lower level and they were not allowed to even study the Vedas. Fine. And this was all decided on the basis of birth. If one's father is a Brahmin, the child will automatically become the Brahmin. If one's father is untouchable, fine, untouchable means lower caste people, fine. So that child is going to become the untouchable. So whatever, in whatever caste you are taking place, you are taking birth, sorry. So you are going to belong to the same caste, fine. Many people did not accept this Varna-led society. They opposed it, whereas some people they followed it. Fine. So this was about the Varnas. Now, children, we will talk about Janpads. Now, Janpad, where Jan means people, they are putting their Pad means foot. So where the local people they are putting their foot, that is known as Janpad. So the Rajas who performed big sacrifices, they were now recognized as Rajas of Janpads rather than Janas. So see, the word Janpad literally means the land where Jan set its foot and settled down. Now there were some important Janpads. Now archaeologists have evacuated a number of settlements. So the people were living there, so that's known as a Janpad. So it's a Purana Kila in Delhi, Hastinapur in Meerut, Atranji Kheda in Eta, that is now in Uttar Pradesh. They found that people living there, they were living in huts, they were keeping cattle as well as animals, they were growing a variety of crops like rice, wheat, barley, pulses, sugar cane, sesame, mustard. Now they were making earthen pots also, grey ware, you can just see above the picture of grey ware. So they were having special type of pottery which they were found in these sites was the painted grey ware. Just look above, children. And the name, they, as the name suggests, they were the grey pots. They were painted in designs and they were usually simple lines and they were in geometrical patterns. ठीक है. Now comes the Mahajanpads. So when a Janpad becomes very important than others, so it was called as Mahajanpad. So 2500 years ago, so there were some Janpads which became very important than the other Janpads, so they were known as the Mahajanpads. So you can see the map in which so many Janpads are there. Now these Mahajanpads, they were having a capital. city, and they were fortified. Fine, they were all having four walls around them, huge walls. The walls can be made up of wood, brick, stone, fine, which was built around these Mahajanpads. So you can just see the Mahajanpads, children. So see, it's Gandhara, from where Gandhari belonged to, from where Shakni belongs to. Then Kurukul was this Pandavas. Panchala, from where Panchali belongs. Fine. Then Kosala, Magad. Then Ang is there. Ang Rajkarn belong to this. Then Avanti. These are all Mahajanpads, and you might have heard these names in the Mahabharata also, which is now you are watching on the TVs, children. So forts were probably built because, now why were the forts built? So children, forts were built because the rulers were afraid of the attack of the other kings, and they needed protection. So that's why they were making the forts around their settlements. Fine. Now, and moreover, they wanted to show that how rich and powerful they are. So that was also the reason why they were building really large and impressive walls around their cities. Also, in this way, the land of the people inside the fortified area could be controlled. Now, whosoever is living inside this fortified area can be easily controlled by the king. So, this was the third reason why they were building huge walls around their settlements. So, building such huge walls, it required a great deal of planning. So thousands and even lakhs of bricks and stones were prepared, and enormous labor was required, children. Thousands of men, women, and children and resources had to be found for all this. So there was a lot of planning required. So you can just see the wall. It's a big wall, and it's the fortification wall at Kausambi. Fine, it is in present day Allahabad, Uttar Pradesh. So children, the new Rajas now began maintaining armies. Now they started maintaining the armies. They were paying the soldiers regular salary. Fine, and they were maintained by the king throughout the year. Now some payments. Now how the payment was given, the salary was given to them in as they were using punch marked coins at that time. So that was a medium of exchange. Fine, salary is given in the form of punch mark coin. Now taxes, children. Now see, taxes. Now the ruler, from where the ruler is going to get the money? So obviously from the taxes. So the rulers of Mahajanpad, see children, they were building very huge forts. They were maintaining the armies. So they needed more resources. They needed more money. So from where they are going to get those money? So they are going to depend. Now I told you previously they were getting occasional gifts brought by the people, but now in case of Janpads, now they started collecting regular taxes from people. Now the first was the taxes on crop. So whosoever was producing crop, doing agriculture, they had to pay 1/6 of their produce. So this was known as bhag or share. That's a sort of tax for the uh, you know uh, uh, the agriculturists, the farmers. Then if the person was a craft person, so they have to work as a laborer for the king. Fine. So the third one were the herders. So as they were having cattle and animals, so they have to give some produce of animals as a sort of tax, like they can give ghee, milk, or any animal produce for that. Then if the goods, for the goods also, for the trade also, they had to pay tax. Hunters and gatherers, as they were living in the forest, so they have to provide forest produce to the Raja. So changes in the agriculture, children. So what all changes took place in the agriculture? The two major changes took place. First was the use of iron plowshare. Now previously the plowshare was of wood, made up of wood. So now with the invention of iron plowshare, Now the soil was tilled in a very nice way, so heavy clay soil was turned in a better way, so more and more crops were produced. Fine. Now the second is transplanting paddy. So previously, how they were growing the rice, they were just throwing the seeds. Now what they are doing, just as now we do, so they were planting the seeds at one place, and from there they were taking out the small plants and they were you know uh, putting them in the field. So they were transplanting the rice. The paddy means rice. So these were the two major changes in the agriculture, and it led to increased production. Children, more plants survived when they were doing transplantation. Fine. Now the slave men and women, they were the dasas and dasis, we have read previously also. And children, one more term is added now, landless agricultural laborers. So those who don't have their own land, so they had to work on others' land. So they were known as kamakaras. A closer look, Magad. Now Magad was very important Mahajanpad, children, about 200 years. For about 200 years regularly it becomes very important. Why it was important? Because there were two rivers flowing through Magad, Ganga and Son. So it was very important. They were very important for transport, water supply. The land in Magad was very fertile. Parts of Magad were forested also. So elephants were used. Fine. The elephants which were living in the forest, they were used and they were trained for armies also. The forest was providing them with wood also, for which they were building houses, carts and chariots. So even iron mines were also there, so they can easily make strong tools and weapons. Fine. Now Magad had two powerful rulers. So two rulers were there, that is Bimbisara and Ajatasattu, who were all possible. Now they were they used all possible means to conquer other janpads. Fine. Mahapadmananda was another important ruler of Magad. He extended control up to the northwest part of the subcontinent. So see, it's how from where it started, it went to the northwest. Now Rajgriha was the, which is now Rajgir, was the capital of Magad that time. Fine, it is in Bihar. For several years, Rajgriha was the capital, and later Patliputra, that is Patna, became the capital of Magad. Fine, more than 2300 years ago. Now, Alexander, who lived in Macedonia in Europe, he wanted to become a world conqueror, and he was a world conqueror. But children, he did not conquer the world, but he conquered parts of Egypt and West Asia. Fine, he controlled those areas, but he was not able to control the Indian subcontinent. Fine, when he reached the banks of Bias rivers, now his soldiers just refused to come forward because they were scared of the rulers of India. And they says that they were having foot soldiers, armies, chariots, elephants, so they stopped there. So Alexander could not control the Indian subcontinent. Then we talk about Vaji, children. Magad was very important, powerful kingdom. Vaji's capital was at Vaishali, which is in Bihar, and it has a different form of government, that is Gan and Sangh. Gan means it is used for group that has many members, and Sangh means organization of association. So its government was based on Gan or a Sangh, means it was not one person, it has many rulers. Fine. So even when thousands of men ruled together, each one was known as the Raja. So it has more than one Raja. So the Raja performed rituals together. They used to met in assemblies. They used to decide whatever problem is there and what solution they should take care. It's like if they talk about some enemy has attacked them, so they will sit together and they will discuss about how to meet the threat. Children, however, it was a gun or a sung. The type of government was this, but the women, dasas, and kamakaras, they were not participating in the assemblies. Both Buddha and Mahavira, you will read about them in next chapter. They belong to the gun or sung. Fine. And we had a very clear description of sung that can be found in Buddhist books. Fine. So, children, see, rajas of powerful kingdoms tried to conquer the Sangs. Nevertheless, these lasted for a very long time till 1500 years ago, when last of the Gun and Sang were conquered by Gupta rulers. So, this Gun and Sang was prevalent, but at the end they were captured by the Gupta rulers. So, children, just go through the elsewhere. So, this was all about the topic, children. Thank you and have a nice day.